But the next person we have Delegate Sam Rasoul from the 11th District. He is the first Muslim American who was elected to the House of Delegates here in Virginia. So that's quite a feat. And thank you for coming up here. You know, I know it's quite a long ride, but we're very lucky to have someone who's been such a champion, such a fighter for working families. So thank you for coming up.
There are about 4 or 5 of us Democrats in Southwest.
I know some of y'all, but I'm just like, wow.
Most of them are in my family. So that helps. I'm from Southwest Virginia. My wife is actually from South Florida. And so this was convenient because we're on our way to be catching a plane here in a day or so out of Northern Virginia. So this worked out very well for us to be here with you. And I guess we have at least four anxious people right here that want to come down to the General Assembly and join us and join the madness that is the General Assembly. But we look forward to being able to serve with all of you. Let me tell you, I ran for office a few times, and my wife said the third time better be a charm. That was all we were getting, and I won my primary by 44 votes.
Wow.
This is going back 3 years now. So since then we've been elected, and of course running for re-election. So the good news is once you get elected, you get to keep running, because that's all you do. In a 2-year cycle, we just keep going. It's really been a tough 4 or 5 weeks here for a lot of people. Lots of emotions, lots of ideas running around, for sure. How do we proceed? How do we move forward? That's for sure. And I've shared a few of my thoughts, and I submit to you all that I don't think that the answer really lies on the left-right continuum. We hear people, oh, we should be more liberal, oh, we should be more centrist. I actually don't think that that's the problem. I think it's obvious to me, as a proud liberal myself, that our agenda benefits the vast majority of Americans. But for some reason, people are missing that. And for me, it really comes down to trust. And trust is very simple calculation for folks. You say, here are your values. They look at your behaviors. As long as they line up, they trust you. When they don't line up, that's when trust begins to erode. And I could sit here and talk to you for hours, and it could be all golden nuggets. But I tell you one lie, and that's all you need for that trust to go, right? So certainly we have solid values, and we espouse those values the vast majority of the time. But it needs to be beyond a reasonable doubt for those attorneys that are in the room. It needs to not leave room for doubt for folks that we are the party that represents the disenfranchised, that represents working families, that represents people from all walks of life. And sometimes that can be a little bit difficult. People see big money in government. They see gerrymandering by both sides. They see a number of other things that make them scratch their head to wonder, oh, I'm not exactly sure what I'm getting here. The good news is that I think that there are people that have done this before. And one of my biggest political hero, for sure, has been President Obama, the hero of my lifetime. But even more recent than that, I think a lot of people have fallen in love with our friends to the north and Justin Trudeau. And I know he's an ugly man, but people say it's all the ladies like light up. Yes. He is wonderful. In October 2015, he delivered a thrashing to conservatives in Canada. Certainly, the conservatives had been in power for some time, but no one predicted it would be quite the landslide that it was. In 2011, 4 years before that, his party only got 19% of the vote. 19% of the vote. And what he did is begin a march for several years. They went to the First Nations, similar to our, Native Americans, and said, you are part of our country. You are Canadian. You share our values. You're going to be part of this conversation. They went to people from all walks of life, and you know what they did? You know what people did? They laughed at Justin Trudeau. What do you mean, optimism? Sunny days and all kinds of crazy nonsense. But October 2015 vindicated what he believed. Vindicated that actually people were looking for a better type of politics. And it's incumbent upon us and our party as Democrats to be able to deliver that as we move forward. And sometimes that can be a little bit difficult. There are lots of probably pros to having a two-party system, but as a business guy myself, when you have an industry dominated by a duopoly, the number one thing that it does is it stifles innovation. So we have innovative minds and people within our own party. We have new and fresh ideas, and those ideas need to rise to the top. And so we've got to be pushing and keeping our own party honest every step of the way. With regards to some of your initial thoughts about our president-elect, we've seen this before in other places. Silvio Berlusconi in Italy was their Trump, this larger-than-life personality, and people couldn't get their heads around what do we do to bring down this gentleman. Finally, they figured it out. Why don't we ignore him? They ignored him. It took them years, over a decade, I believe, and somebody figured it out. Forget his personality, forget this person, just talk about the issues, and this person will dig their own hole. Just think about it. We ran against arguably the worst person in modern history, and we still lost. Now, we as Democrats have to determine, are we going to continue having this conversation about this personality, or are we going to try to get back to basics? So I think there is a path moving forward. We just got to challenge some of our own assumptions. You even got a Muslim standing in front of a Christmas tree.
Take a picture.
I'll if you have the Hanukkah candelabra, we can get all of it going. But the bottom line is if we're about inclusivity, we've got to really live that. We've got to just define our values. We've got to explore them, define them, and then really do everything we can to live those. So I look forward to working with all of you all in the General Assembly and many of you as Virginians. Thank you for letting this crazy guy from Southwest Virginia come and share a few words with you today, and for inviting me to be with you all. But we've got a lot of work to do, and I think now's the time to rebuild. Thanks so much.